I'm Chris Daines, and I'm running for Cache County Attorney. First, I want to say thank you. As I've met and talked with many new friends, I've been heartened to know that you are good and decent people who want peace and happiness for yourselves, your families, and your community. I'm confident that with your goodwill, constitutional loyalty, and inspired leadership, whatever challenges we face as a county can be overcome.
This ad paid for by Chris Daines for Cache County Attorney.
You do amazing things every day. And we're not just talking about your pregnancy. You do it all. So why risk letting COVID-19 stop you? COVID-19 vaccines are especially important during pregnancy. Take control of your health so you can keep showing up for the ones you love. Get the COVID-19 vaccine to protect yourself and your pregnancy. It's safe, proven, effective. You could say it's pretty amazing, just like you. Message brought to you by the American College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists. Visit acog.org/COVID vaccine to learn more.
It's time for the Garden Guide with your host, Mark Anderson from Anderson Seed and Garden.
New research suggests that people are more likely to eat vegetables if they have a tempting name.
What would life be without homegrown tomatoes? Only two things that money can't buy, and that's true love and homegrown tomatoes.
From gardening to landscaping.
Today we are going to try and create garden eyebrows. Kind of like the flowers are sprouting directly from your hair. So that makes sense.
Go! Phone lines are open at 753-KVNU or 800-369-KVNU.
Kind of like eating vegetables.
It's the Garden Guide, now on KVNU 610 AM and 102 FM.
Good morning and welcome to the Garden Guide. This is Mark Anderson with Anderson Seed and Garden, and we are here to talk about everything garden. And the dandelions are going crazy right now, and the fruit trees are all in bloom, and looks like we're going to get some more storm, which is great. Everybody's been out mowing their lawn. This is just a great time to be outside, and in fact, my peas are coming up, my onions are up, our spinach is up. Everything is starting to grow like crazy, and it's just a great time of year to be outside and enjoy the weather. In fact, I was outside putting a little product on my lawn last night, which will make it so hopefully I won't have to water it again the rest of the spring until like June, because it helps the soil absorb and retain the moisture so well. So did it last year, made a big difference, and I have to water until Flag Day. So it really does help. And we got some really great things happening on the show today. We've got Autumn from the Cache Water District here. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Mark. Thanks for having me.
It's great having you on the show. I've got tons of questions for us to talk about. But before we dig into that, I just want to remind everybody that there's a lot of great things happening downtown, and especially at Anderson Seed and Garden. We're kind of finishing up our bare root sale. So if you want to get bare root fruit trees, now's your chance, because in the next week or so, they're not going to be bare root anymore. We still have bare root strawberries. We just got a new batch in yesterday. We've got bare root raspberries and a whole bunch more coming this week. So we'll continue to have those bare root onion plants. We've got potatoes in stock, and we also have blueberries and gooseberries and currants and a lot of those bare root plants. But they'll be getting potted up here pretty soon because weather's great. They're starting to leaf out, and they need to find a more permanent home than being in our large bare root containers. So if you want to get some plants planted, they're looking great. The root systems are amazing. We're pulling them out and inspecting them, and they just are so ready to find a new home. Come take advantage of our bare root sale at Anderson Seed and Garden. We are having a lot of questions about weeds. So with the nice weather and a little bit of moisture here and there, weeds have gone crazy. So if you've got questions about weeds, we'll be talking weeds as well today, but mostly about water, because water might be a bit of an issue this year. Don't you think, Autumn?
I do think, yes. Especially with the winter we've had. It's been a little bit challenging to see what that future is going to look like.
It has. Now, for our listeners, why don't you tell us who you are and what you do at the Water District? Yeah.
Absolutely. So I'm Autumn Mathews. I work for Cache Water District, running their conservation, education, and outreach programs. I also coordinate between many different agencies, and we at the Water District plan for water supply issues in the future, and as well as planning for conservation in the valley as well.
There might be a few communities interested in conservation this month, this month as well too.
For sure, we've had a lot of interaction already. So thank you so much for getting on that.
Oh yeah, that's great. It's so important, and what a lot of people don't realize is that Cache Valley has so many different locales that have different resources, that have different needs, and it's not all about population. Sometimes it's about geography.
Exactly. There's so many different ranges in our Cache Valley. So,
and where our water comes from, and how we get to utilize that water. So even some of our smaller communities that maybe only have 1,000 people in the community, I mean, it's not a huge draw on the water, but if they don't have water to begin with,
then it's hard to.
That's hard to take care of. Yeah. So here in Logan, we've got 57,000 people, but we have such a great water source, with DeWitt Springs that we really don't struggle very often with good culinary water for our residents. So I mean, we're taking care of 55,000 people plus more when they come in to shop and to work and do all those things. And so our water source is great, but there's other communities in the valley that really kind of struggle.
Absolutely. And it's important that we plan for those needs as they come up.
Yeah. And what I love about the Water District is we're trying to get communities that do have extra resources to work with their neighbors a little bit more, to share when things are a little more difficult or maybe a little rough like this year. So.
Absolutely. There's so much resiliency that comes from us sharing our resources and sharing what we have.
Yeah.
And the
exchange. For sure. What's your favorite thing that you do with the Water District?
Ooh, I really love informing people on water use and how to water their lawn. Actually, that's my biggest focus right now. Is we're coming up on summer and we have to get that squared away for many different needs across the valley. And it's been awesome to see people come up and ask, as well as me find people who are interested in water conservation.
Sure.
And so that's been my favorite part.
I kind of like lawns too.
I agree.
If you hadn't noticed. And I think they're so essential. And I think grass gets a bad rap sometimes. And when you think about going green and being environmentally conscious, grass gets a bad reputation. But there's nothing greener than grass because it does so many great things for our environment. It traps excess water when we have big rainstorms. It filters dust and stuff out of the air. It creates oxygen. It cools our environment. It prevents erosion and muddy yards where we're like transferring the dirt from one location to the next. So it really serves a very important role. But most of us water our lawns way more than it really needs it.
Yes, and proper watering creates more resilient lawns, as well as
it does.
Yeah, and you can do so much with your lawn.
We could go back to the exercise analogy. If you don't exercise at all, then you don't build any strength. And so you need that resistance. You need that struggle to build those muscles up. Same thing with your grass.
Yep, I do the same with my houseplants. I love to stress them a little bit.
If you torture them a little bit, then they become more resilient. They become tougher. And what we try and show people at Anderson's is that if you mow properly, your root system will go deeper. And if you water properly, guess what? Your root system will go deeper. And the deeper the root system, the more resilient it is when it's 100 degrees outside.
Exactly.
Yeah. And that water's available.
Yes, it absolutely is. And it's been awesome to talk with many residents who are concerned about that.
Absolutely. And I think it's very top of mind for a lot of people right now. So they're aware. They're like, look, water is a little scarce this year, even though we've had a lot of rain, more rain than normal. But snowpack is down. So exactly. it's interesting to talk to people around the valley, and they're like, oh yeah, Porcupine's full. Hiram Dam's full. It's like they're full because we did get a lot of water in October and December. It just wasn't snow.
Exactly. So
it just wasn't snow. So the Water District has a really great program, and we've talked about it a little bit on the show. But I really wanted you to come on and kind of explain it to our listeners and let them know what a great opportunity this is.
Of course. Okay. So the Water District is launching our spring grass reseeding program. It's a program that allows residents to swap out their inefficient lawn, usually Kentucky bluegrass, with a water-wise blend from Anderson Seed and Garden. Actually, I believe it's the Eden Mix still.
It is the Eden Mix,
Awesome.
yes. Yep,
Okay.
the Eden Mix.
And we offer this mix at a discounted rate of 50%, so that would be $3.50 per pound. It takes roughly 7 to 8 pounds to reseed 1,000 square feet, and so residents can sign up for any amount of area that they want. We just ask that they join a water study initiative that you can either send in your water bill or you don't have to. It's totally optional, but we want to get as many lawns changed out from inefficient turf to water-wise turf.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And so...
And it really does make a huge difference when you get a water-wise turf in your lawn, because instead of watering 3 times a week, you can go down to twice a week or even once a week with the Eden Mix. And I actually had a customer in the store yesterday, and they planted the Eden last year. I don't know if they took advantage of the program or not, but they planted it last year, and they were coming in to get a little bit more because they wanted to do another little section of their lawn. And she was like, I love this grass. It's like so great. It's filled in really fast. It's like looking really good. It's just soft. And she's like, I love this grass so much. I'm like, thank you. That's the feedback that I need from people. So
absolutely. Cause I've had a couple residents come up and ask me like, does it feel like crabgrass? And it's quite soft. It's very, very nice looking.
It is. But what it really is it's a blend of, I think this is an oxymoron, dwarf turf-type fescue. And that dwarf turf-type fescue, the size of the blade is similar to bluegrass. It's not exact, but it is similar. It's slightly bigger. And I would say the durability or the prickliness that people think that some of those grasses are, it's actually really pretty soft grass. But the cool thing about this grass is it resists insects, it resists diseases, and it has a root system that will grow 3 to 4 feet.
Which
like
is
deep,
so important,
which is huge. Yeah,
when you're watering.
Yeah. And so, what we found with this grass is pretty much in the springtime you don't have to water it at all, even if we've gone 3 weeks between rainstorms, and I wouldn't even start watering it till June.
I agree.
It'll just be fine. Yeah,
it'll be fine, and you'll teach your lawn that it can survive off less with more.
Yep, and it will still look good. It'll still look great. But then you can water throughout the summertime less than you normally would. Once a week would probably be ample to keep that turf type fescue looking really good. And then come September, when it starts to rain a little bit more again, you just stop.
Yep, because the rain will take care of it.
Now, it does have a very drought-tolerant bluegrass variety mix in there with it as well, too. But this is to help fill in those areas. So this is a very aggressive grass, so it's great at self-repairing. So if you get a little bit of damage, say the neighbor's horses get loose and they run through and kind of damage it in spots, it will repair itself really quickly. And so it blends in very nicely with the turf-type fescue, so the best qualities of both kind of take over. So it's a really awesome grass. We recommend 6 to 8 pounds per 1,000 square feet. So it's pretty easy to figure out how much you need to cover, say 1,000 square feet or more. So, measure the area you want to replant, and we can get right down to the pound how much grass you need to make it work.
Yeah, we've had people sign up for 50 square feet to 13 acres of land, which is awesome to see.
Yeah. It is awesome. And, at that price, we're usually telling people just plan on $30 per 1,000 square feet, which is a pretty good rough guesstimate. Just plan on spending that much. It's probably going to be a little bit less. And that's really pretty inexpensive.
It is.
$30 for 1,000 square feet.
It is quite inexpensive.
Yeah. If you were doing sod at 30 cents a square foot.
Yeah. It can get pricey up there, which we are always looking for alternatives. And a lot of people have asked me about the Tahoma 31 Bermuda grass that has been delisted. And we're working with Weber Basin Water Conservancy to see what that application is in Cache Valley. And so as new things come up with that, I'm sure the water
I've talked to a lot of people about the Bermuda, and they're like, in the right spot, it's really good, but they're not really convinced that Utah is the right spot.
Yeah, because you have to desatch it. It's got a lot. of upkeep at least once.
A lot of extra work. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Jason, you want to redo your whole lawn now, don't you?
I'm tempted, to be honest with you, because I read about how once you get it established, how little work goes into it. And I'm just, when it comes to my lawn, I'm naturally lazy. Yeah. So if I can do less work, I'm all about it.
Of course, our state legislators have been talking about all these different things that we can do. And I think, I'm not going to mention any names, but I think one of our local legislators, I have convinced that he needs to do this.
Mm-hmm. Actually, that would be fun to see them track that. Talk about the process and go from start to finish so people can see what it takes. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then maybe throw some funding at it as well. Yeah.
Well, almost on a daily basis, I talk to somebody and they're like, "Oh, I'd really love to do that, but it's so much work. Mm-hmm. I just don't know if I can do that." I'm like, hold on a second. Your assumption is slightly incorrect because it's really not as much work as you think. And then their ears perk up and they go, "Oh, okay, well, tell me some more because I might be interested in doing this." And then I teach them how easy it is to overseed. And then I teach them how easy it is to get rid of their old grass and put a new one in. And they go, "Oh, I think that I didn't know it was that. I didn't know it was that easy."
Can you guys talk about that a little bit? Because that's what I run into.
No, I don't want to talk about that at all. No.
It's like the biggest misconception I hear from people. The process of getting rid of the old grass. A lot of people see that as the barrier, but
so there's really nothing wrong with just overseeding and incorporating this into your existing grass, which is probably the easiest way to do it. Sure. And especially this time of year, what we will really recommend for people to do is it's as hard as just basically going out there and applying a fertilizer because that's what you're going to do. So you're going to mow your lawn really close, which you should do in the spring anyway, because it gets all the yucky old grass, and it also encourages your grass to spread horizontally, and that's nice to get it to fill in first thing in the spring. So we're going to mow it really, really close, which helps with a lot of different things. Then have it core aerated. Once you aerate it, it leaves all these holes where the soil's actually exposed. And what we found is if you don't overseed when you aerate, you get weeds that come up in your lawn because you've got all these bare holes. What else is going to grow there? Yeah. The weed seeds blow in, then all of a sudden you go, "Oh, I've got a lot of weeds in my grass." It's like, where'd they come from? Well, they germinated in these empty holes, which is really good for your turf because it forces the grass to expand the root system out. And so it's really healthy for your turf. But instead of letting the weeds take over, overseed with one of these new grasses like the Eden, and there's some really great turf type rye, turf type fescue mixes that are super drought tolerant and insect resistant, disease resistant, and incorporate those into your grass. So basically what you're going to do is you're mow it close, have somebody come aerate it because it's like the worst job.
It's a pain.
The worst job in the world is aerating, except for dethatching, which is even worse. It's even worse. And then overseed it, just broadcast that seed. And then we just ask that you rake it afterwards, because as you rake it, it will agitate the existing grass that's there. And as you agitate the grass, it'll drop the seed down to the soil, and it has to make contact with the soil to get it to germinate. And then it'll fall down in those holes. And then I've actually gone to homeowners' yards that were concerned that did this, and they did the aeration in the fall, and they planted the new grass. And then the next spring they called me and they were really worried because their lawn had polka dots all over it. Like it was polka dotted because the new grass was so dark green compared to their older grass. They thought something was wrong with it because there's polka dots. Like their entire lawn was polka dotted. And it's like, "Oh no, this is great." It's like, we'll do it again next fall. And then all of a sudden you're going to have all this really dark grass instead of all this light grass. So that's as difficult as it is. And then all you need to do is just a little bit of water every day to get that grass seed to germinate. We're not talking an hour of water. We're talking like 5 minutes of water every day for a couple weeks to get that grass seed to germinate.
Absolutely.
Boom. Done.
And when you say mow it really close, do you have a recommended inches?
We tell people scalp it. Just drop your mower down to the lowest setting and just really close. It's about an inch. I think that's like your minimum on your mower. But if you're creative, you can get it A little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit lower.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a little bit lower. But that's really, really easy. You can do a 10,000 square foot lawn like that. Really, it'll take you longer to mow the lawn than it will to apply the grass seed.
True.
I can do the grass seed in like 10 minutes. Done. And then a little bit of fertilizer to encourage that. The one thing that people forget is if you're going to overseed in the spring, make sure you do not put a crabgrass preventer on.
True.
With your first application, because then your grass seed won't germinate either.
Exactly.
Yep, it will stop your grass seed from coming up. So just do a good early season slow release nitrogen type fertilizer, and believe it or not, the turf does like to eat. You know, it's kind of like Jason. He likes to eat every day. Yeah, your lawn.
I try to eat less.
Your lawn
turf,
likes to eat every day too, so it's important you put a little bit of food out there for it. It will be a lot healthier. It'll be more resilient. It'll develop a deeper root system. It won't need to be watered as much. So you gotta feed it.
Yep, it's like when your mom says, eat your fruits and vegetables.
Yep, exactly.
You gotta grow big and tall.
So if you wanted to overseed, Jason, that's exactly how you would do it. But if you want to kill the grass and then start from scratch, and I think we have a lot of people doing that in their park strips.
We do.
Yeah, in their park strips. Honestly, it'd be so nice with a park strip that you basically don't have to do anything to it.
Exactly.
Yeah, so it's just
it would be awesome.
Just super, super nice. And if you reincorporate these new grasses in there, you'll get the benefit of the heat sink. And so it's absorbing the heat instead of like reflecting all the heat. And it's going to create oxygen. It's going to cool your environment. It's an amazing option. July and August is the best time to do it. Yeah, it's like the absolute best time to kill that grass because you could spray it on, let's say you're bored on the 4th of July, Jason, and you need something to do after the parade's over.
Of course.
You would go out there and you could spray it with a grass killer, and there's multiple options. You could use Killzall or Roundup or Decimate, or there's some great organic options as well too out there. And we're going to spray it. We're going to kill that grass. And when it's hot like that, it only takes about a week for it to kill the grass, depending on which herbicide we go after. And then we're going to do something kind of similar to what we would do with the overseeding, but you're going to mow it really, really close. It's dead, so it's like totally yellow. So you're going to mow it really, really close. And then you're going to bring a tiny bit of topsoil in. And we're not going to dig up all that dead old grass. We're just going to leave it there. And we're going to bring a 1/4 to a 1/2 inch of topsoil in, and we're going to groom it over the dead grass. So we're just going to put a little bit of topsoil over the top of the dead grass. And at the same time, you can fix your low spots and your high spots, and you can kind of regrade your turf while you're doing that. And then you're going to do basically the same thing. Overseed, broadcast that new seed out there, and then rake it lightly, and it'll kind of incorporate it into the topsoil just a little bit. And then during the middle of the summer, it is hotter, so you have to water 5 minutes, but 3 times a day instead of once. So we would just do 5 minutes 3 times a day for about a week, and you'll have new grass up in a week.
Which is an amazing
in a week. So I've done this myself. We did it around the 10th of July, seeded it. It was up in 5 days. We were mowing it before Labor Day. And by the end of the summer, like end of fall even, it looked like it had been there forever.
Yeah, which is an amazing turnaround.
Super easy. Yeah, so super easy. And with these types of grasses, we're talking a savings of 30 to 50% on your water, which is huge.
Yeah, it is. And that's the goal of the district, is to track those water savings. So,
yeah. So I didn't realize we were tracking their water bill before and after. I think that's amazing.
Yep, and that portion is totally voluntary. You don't have to submit your water bill, but we do ask that you submit a water bill from May to, I believe it's September.
Really helpful.
It's so helpful.
Really, really helpful.
It's good to gather that data.
So I know years past, the Water District has kind of partnered with USU and done like lawn irrigation analysis. Do you think that's going to come back again? I know the funding kind of disappeared for a little bit, but I thought that was such a great resource.
That was actually so we had a caller who couldn't stick around with a question right along those lines. Caller wanted to know if the Water District or any of the water boards have recommendations if you do something like this, remove turf, decrease the size of your lawn that needs to be watered. what do you do with your sprinkler system then if it's still out there wetting the new dirt patches?
Hopefully it's spread into multiple zones so you can kind of start decreasing some of those zones. But
sure.
Most sprinklers are becoming so efficient that can really help with your watering as well too.
It really can. And we also recommend, the state has a rebate program for a smart controller that it attaches to your house Wi-Fi and can tell when it's raining and when it's not, and it can shut off those sprinklers. Yeah. So I would look into that. It's an awesome program. You could end up getting a smart controller for maybe around $10.
They're really inexpensive, and once you get them programmed properly, it will basically say, oh, it rained 3 times already this week. We don't need to turn the sprinklers on Wednesday, even though it's programmed for Wednesday.
Exactly. They're so awesome for water savings.
Yeah. And do you know what the rebates are?
I believe they're trying to at least cover the cost of the smart controller minus tax. So after it's all said and done, I believe you can get them for about $10 when it comes down to it, but they're super inexpensive. You visit slowtheflow.com or .org.
You can do that.
Yeah.
It's like everybody should do that. If you have an automated sprinkling system, everybody should do that, because that will right there give us a 10 to 15% savings on water without changing anything except for your controller.
Exactly, yeah. Which is, you just set it and forget it, which is so nice.
Amazing, yeah, amazing. So are we at the bottom of the hour already, Jason?
It went by fast.
It really did go by fast. You're welcome to call in with questions or comments. What's the phone numbers again?
753-5868. And you will have to talk to me if you call.
Or 1-800.
Or 1-800-369-5868.
We actually do have people that use the 800 number occasionally. Yeah, occasionally. But we would love to have you call in with questions. If you have regular gardening questions, great. I'd be glad to do that. If we want to, we'll make Autumn answer some of those regular gardening questions too. Yeah. But if you have water questions, she's the one to visit with, and we would love to let her answer some of your questions as well too. So call in with those questions and comments here on the Garden Guide. We're going to take a short little break, but when we come back, we'll talk some more water. We'll talk how to maybe control weeds and get those under control on your lawn, and what you can do to be more water conscious in your entire yard this year, since we do have some water restrictions possibly coming up, especially for various parts of the county. So we'll be back here on the Garden Guide in just a few minutes.
With your KVNU local headlines, I'm Will Feelright. Well, drivers traveling through Logan Canyon should prepare for daytime delays as the Utah Department of Transportation continues its work on that major fiber optic installation project. Now, motorists can expect multiple active work zones with one-way alternating traffic along US 89 between Logan and Bear Lake. Now, UDOT officials are advising motorists, motorcyclists, and cyclists to use extreme caution, noting that the corridor currently contains trenches, uneven road surfaces, and loose gravel. Now, drivers utilizing turnouts within the work zones should also wait to re-enter the travel lane until they see a line of vehicles traveling in their desired direction to safely merge with the one-way traffic flow. Now, over the next several weeks, crews will be operating at intermittent locations throughout the canyon, installing concrete vaults and junction boxes. And multiple outdoor apparel and gear companies are publicly opposing the U.S. Forest Service's recent decision to restructure the agency and relocate its headquarters to Salt Lake City. Now, back on March 31st, the USFS announced plans to move its headquarters to Utah to be closer to Western public lands and partners. Now, the sweeping reorganization includes closing research facilities in 31 states and eliminating the majority of regional offices. Now, while Utah Governor Spencer Cox praised the move for bringing hundreds of jobs to the state and improving operational response times, corporate critics are arguing that the reorganization will cripple the agency. Well, we do have a small chance of some scattered isolated showers, thunderstorms through the weekend, as temperatures are going to stay right around the mid to low 60s with overnight temperatures around the mid 30s. Will Feelright for KVNU News.
Good morning, this is Judson Richards. We'll begin in the NBA. Nuggets chasing their 11th win in a row and would remain in contention of that 3 seed in the West with a victory. Could the Thunder stand in their way? OKC, the runaway 1 seed, resting up for the playoffs to the final seconds. We go.
And there's the horn. All right, we going to do this again? All right, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, All right, we'll do it again. Ready? Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 wins in a row, people. Come on now. That's momentum heading into the postseason. Nuggets blow out the Thunder 127-107. One game left.
And that was a call on the Altitude Radio Network. Denver secures at least the 4 seed in the Western Conference. Spurs and the Mavs. Victor Wembanyama was in control for the 2-seeded Spurs.
Up 18, 111-93. Wembanyama with the left hand off the rim. No, gets it back, goes back up, slams it down. 35 points, 11 rebounds for Victor Wembanyama.
He would finish with 40. The call on WOAI, that was Wemby's 65th game, by the way, to become eligible for the NBA awards. Spurs beat the Mavs 139-120. Let's go to baseball. Dodgers and the Rangers in Los Angeles. It was a Hollywood finish at Chavez Ravine.
Here's the 0-2. He swings, hits a high drive to right field. It's going back. It is gone. A walk-off winner. Max Muncy with 2 outs in the bottom of the ninth. Maxwell swinging the silver hammer.
Dodgers beat the Rangers. The call on AM 570 LA Sports. Rory McIlroy delivered a spectacular finish to the Masters in round 2. 6 birdies over the last 7 holes gave him a 7-under 65 and a 6-shot lead and set a Masters record through 36 holes.
I'm Chris Daines, and I'm running for Cache County Attorney. First, I want to say thank you. As I've met and talked with many new friends, I've been heartened to know that you are good and decent people who want peace and happiness for yourselves, your families, and your community. I'm confident that with your goodwill, constitutional loyalty, and inspired leadership, whatever challenges we face as a county can be overcome.
This ad paid for by Chris Daines for Cache County Attorney.
From gardening to landscaping, The Garden Guide with Mark Anderson from Anderson Seed and Garden on News Talk KVNU, 610 AM and 102.1 FM.
All right, we are back here on the Garden Guide, and we're taking your questions about watering. We're taking your questions about general gardening, and you're welcome to call in with those questions or comments here on the Garden Guide. I've got Autumn here from the Cache Water District. We've been talking conservation, and we've had some really good thoughts that we've been talking about on different ways that people can save water and be more water conscious and conserve this year.
Yep, because it's going to be so necessary this year.
Yeah, for sure. Now, during the break, we were talking about those water irrigation analysis. You're thinking that Utah State still does that?
Yeah, so Utah State should offer a free sprinkler check. So they'll come out and see your output of your sprinklers using rain gauges, which you can do yourself. If you have a rain gauge, it's simple. You just stick it out on your lawn and just see how much water is going into your lawn by the inch. And the DNR is recommending a half an inch for conservation's sake, but Mark was saying 1 inch.
Traditionally it's 1 inch per week, preferably in 2 applications. And so, a lot of people are watering 3 times a week. Some people are watering like every single day. But really, if you aren't measuring how much water your sprinklers put out, you're really doing your yard and our water resource a disservice, because you need to know how much water. It's like you have to be able to measure it. And so when homes are built and the sprinkler systems get installed, the sprinkler installation person comes and says, okay, I've set your sprinklers, here you go, great, have fun with that. And most people just go with that.
They do, which is totally okay, but in a year like this, we do need to be more conscious.
Can change. What I try and teach people is like, okay, who in this room, I've got like, say, 100 people in the classroom, and it's like, okay, who in here knows how much water your sprinklers put out in 30 minutes? And there's crickets. Yeah. It's like, because nobody, like 2 hands go up, and everybody should know how much water their sprinklers put out in a certain amount of time. So that way, okay, if in a half an hour my sprinklers put out a half an inch of water, I need to run them for a half an hour twice a week. Then you're like right on the money. It's like it's like perfect.
Exactly. It's important that you know how much water is going into the ground. because it can also save you on your water bill as well as water savings for our county.
Right, for sure. And in most cases, the turf will be happy with that water, and it will look great all summer and serve its function properly, and it can still look manicured and beautiful.
Yeah, it can. Now, your trees, you do want to water those if you do switch out your grass.
Yeah.
But that will depend on the tree.
Yeah. And it depends on the tree. Yeah, because a lot of trees are very resilient. You know, I've got people come in the store quite frequently, and they're like, my pines and my spruce are really struggling. I don't know what's going on with it. And it's like, okay, how frequently are you watering? And they're like, well, they're in my lawn, and so they get watered 3 times a week. And I was like, okay, they're getting too much water.
Yep.
You know, think about where they live, up Logan Canyon, and they're lucky to get watered, twice during the summertime, and you're watering them twice a day.
Yeah, they're drowning.
And that's what happens. But when you start changing your landscape out, sometimes it does take some time for them to reacclimate to the new watering system, and they can struggle a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, they can struggle a lot, in fact. I remember when I was younger, my dad used to water, we have secondary water, and so he had the big metal irrigation pipes because he had a pasture, and he'd basically water his lawn with that too, but he would only water once a week. But he would let those sprinklers go basically all night, because then you'd get like a good deep soaking, and then his water turn wouldn't be until the next year. When he switched over to a sprinkling system and they were going 3 times a week, his grass actually struggled because it was used to the other type of watering. And it took about 2 years for it to reacclimate to like the new watering schedule, because it was just so used to what he was doing previously.
Yeah, plants are smart. They adapt to what you put down. So.
They really do. Have we got a phone call?
We do. We have Greg on the line, and I want to apologize to Greg because I accidentally rebooted the system while he was holding.
And
he called back,
and you dropped him. That's great that he called back.
We do have Greg back.
Good morning, Greg.
Good morning. You said that new grass you can't put down if you don't put crabgrass preventer. Well, I've already put down my crabgrass preventer.
Okay.
So how long do I have to wait before I could actually put it down?
6 to 8 weeks. So that is a great question, and I'm so glad that you called back. So thanks for calling back and being persistent. I already slapped Jason's hand. So
I touch the wrong buttons sometimes.
Thank you.
Yeah. So that crabgrass preventer lasts about 8 weeks. So just kind of like gauge when you applied that. As you get closer to 6 to 8 weeks, I'm going to recommend you put some humate on there, because the humate has lots and lots of microbes and microorganisms and lots of good biology in there. It will finish breaking down the pesticide faster, and so it will eliminate the pesticide quicker. It's really, really good at kind of cleaning your soil out from pesticides like that. And then you'd have a nice, good, clean, fresh start for your new grass when you plant that. And I'm going to be honest with you. The warmer it gets, the faster the grass seed germinates. So don't kick yourself for planting it in the middle of the summer. It's kind of its traditional time to drop seed and to germinate and come up. So really July and August and early September, that's the best time of year to plant. Absolutely.
Thank you.
You're so welcome. Yeah. Thanks for calling in. Grass seed goes to seed in late May and early June. And I always have people that come in and they're like, oh, there's something wrong with my lawn. It's got these little kind of fuzzy things on the top. And I'm just like, I'll just mow it off. It's, it's fine. Yep. Just let it, it's going to seed. It's fine. Every year it happens end of May, first part of June. So what does that indicate? That after that is the best time for the grass for planting. Yeah,
because that's the natural cycle.
That's natural cycle. So July and August and early September, that's when the grass should be germinating.
Absolutely.
So it's all good. God, there was something else we were going to discuss when we were talking during the break.
We have another caller on the line as well.
How they're interrupting our conversation here. No, it's great. I love it. I love it when people call in. So who's up?
This is Noel.
Noel, good morning and welcome to the Garden Guide.
Good morning, Mark. I just heard your response about the crabgrass preventer.
Yes.
And I had the same situation, except that I have it scheduled to have aerated this week.
Right.
And so the question is, should I put off the aeration until I've gone through the 8 weeks since the crabgrass preventer was put on by your company.
Yeah, that is a great question also, Noel. And I would still probably get it aerated, especially right after this storm system comes through, because it's going to be a perfect time to aerate. And then you could still overseed later during the summer or even this fall. And I don't think I would cancel that. However, probably putting that pre-emergent on is not going to help with your grass germination. Even if the seed falls down into those holes, the preventer will probably transfer down in there as well too. So I don't think you'll have great success trying to get that grass seed to germinate after having the pre-emergent applied.
Well, I think it's been about maybe 5 weeks since they did that application. So, and I have already purchased the Eden grass. So,
okay.
So what should be my time?
If you're at 5 weeks and they aerate next week, you could go ahead and seed it the week after. And I would definitely highly recommend the humate, because the humate, we found out accidentally many, many years ago that the humate will break pesticides down in the soil. And so we had a lot of customers that were doing their pre-emergent and they were putting the humate down at the same time, which is great early spring because it's so good for your soil. But then their pre-emergent was wearing off really quickly. And so as we dug into it a little bit more, we found that it really inhibits the duration of your pesticide, which is targeting crabgrass and foxtail and goosegrass, a lot of these weedy grasses we don't want in our turf, but it will break that down much quicker. So if you've gone 5 weeks, I'd put some humate on today, because it's going to get watered in by the storm. It'd be perfect, and then let them come aerate after the storm, and then a week after that, throw your seed on. You should be great.
Okay. Well, that sounds like a plan there.
All right. Super.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks for calling in, and have a great weekend, Noel.
You too.
All right. Bye-bye. Okay.
Yeah.
Great questions.
Great questions.
Yeah, really
They're
great questions.
So
there's a lot of other things that people can do to be more water conservative in their landscape and yard. We talked about the smart controllers, which I think is outstanding. What else can they do?
So in some areas of Cache Valley, there are cities that are eligible for a landscape rebate through the state. It's $2, I think, per square foot. And you can qualify based on where you live. I believe it's Nibley, North Logan, Richmond, Hyde Park, and then there's one other that I am spacing on. But if your cities have adopted that ordinance, you are able to switch out some of your lawn for a more local-scaped type of landscape, which is essentially just using native plants with a drip system in your landscape more efficiently to create a more well-rounded for like pollinators and other birds and bees like that.
Right.
So
right.
Yeah.
What I've done is complained to our state legislatures and said, look, you're doing $2 a square foot for landscape replacement. Great. I love it. Way to go. However, with your turf program, that's 50 customers for the same price instead of one.
Exactly. Which, we believe that there is a lot of water savings to be had with this waterwise grass.
Yeah.
And we're hoping that it's more cost effective in the long run and to work with our representatives.
When you can change 50 times the amount of square footage with the same amount of money, and probably that drought tolerant grass is going to use or make a larger impact than landscaping.
Exactly. And we want the program to be there for residents who want to apply for it. But sometimes it's hard to get those cities to adopt new ordinances.
Right. And I'm convinced that it's easier to trade your turf out for a different turf than it is to tear your landscape out and re-landscape.
It is.
So it's a lot less work.
Yes. Yeah. We launched local scapes classes in the spring and the fall, and because They are so popular. We have a lot of people asking us how to landscape their lawn because they just want to do something new, and that's totally okay too. But we might as well get them paid.
There's a lot of options. Just remember though, if you're like landscaping and you're putting down, lava rock, or you're doing, gravel, it's hot.
It is hot, which is why
work in the wrong direction, right?
Yes, which is why we do promote those local scapes classes, because they teach how to more effectively control that heat bubble with what element you choose.
Because we don't want more asphalt, we don't want more concrete, and if we're putting gravel and lava rock out there, we're just kind of like generating more heat.
Exactly.
More heat.
Yeah, and the state is very specific. In what they
another question.
We do. We have Greg on the line with a question. Or I'm sorry. We got to Greg.
Yeah.
Carlos.
Good morning, Carlos.
Yes. Good morning. I have a question regarding a magnolia tree that I planted 2 years ago.
Sure.
Last year it had some really good foliage, but then it started to get yellow, and I wasn't sure what I was doing wrong. But this year I read that it needs to have an acidic pH, and the water that we use here in Logan, I understand, is close to 8.5.
It's very alkaline. Yes, you're correct.
Yeah. So I changed the water. I'm putting reverse osmosis water from my house, and it seems to be doing better, but I need to see what you recommend to put something that'll give it sulfur on a consistent basis.
Yep. So there's granulated forms of sulfur. So like there's an elemental sulfur that you could broadcast underneath and around that tree that will last for about 6 to 8 months. So we usually recommend 1 or 2 applications, and every time it gets watered, it will acidify just a little bit. And you're spot on. Our soil and our water, the pH is very high. Magnolia is like a little more acidic soil. And when our soil pH is really high like that, it ties up a lot of the nutrient in the soil, and iron is one of the key nutrients that it ties up and makes unavailable to the plants. So then your magnolia will turn yellow because it's not getting the iron that it needs. And so I would supplement that with a chelated iron, which is pre-digested for the plants as well too. And it will green it up really quickly, because when they're iron deficient, they are weakened and they're more susceptible to other things. And so we want to get that really healthy and really help that tree. So a little bit of a chelated iron and soil sulfur would be excellent way to try and do that. You'll never get the pH down low enough where the magnolia is going to love it. It's difficult to do, but that sulfur will really, really help.
What product do you recommend?
So the sulfur is like a 90% elemental sulfur, and it comes in like 4-pound bags or 50-pound bags. And we usually recommend 2 to 4 pounds per 100 square feet to lower the pH by 1. So if it's at 8 and you want to get it down to 7, you'd put on 2 to 4 pounds per 100 square feet, and it's going to gradually bring the pH down.
Okay. Well, I got 4 beautiful flowers this spring, so it's looking nice.
Wonderful.
I'm very happy with it.
Yeah. I wish I could say the same about my magnolia, because the deer in my yard killed mine this year. So I'm very, very annoyed with the deer, and I might have to have a conversation with the DNR about removing them.
Right. All right, Mark. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a great one, Carlos. Okay.
You too.
All right. We've got about 5 minutes left in the show. Anything else that you really would love to let our listeners hear, Autumn?
Absolutely. So Cache Water District did just update their website. The new website is cachewaterut.gov.
Yeah.
And you can find more about our grass reseeding program there underneath conservation and the flyer download tab. The website is still a work in progress. Yeah. I'm updating it constantly. But
Cache Water UT.
Yep, cachewaterut.gov. And and if you have any questions, my contact information is on that flyer on our website. But you can also reach me at az@cachewaterddistrict.com.
And for those people who just recently moved to Cache Valley, it's not spelled CASH.
Yep. It's not.
Something about it's like Cache Water District.
Yeah.
I wonder if somebody's going to like put CASH in there. So
I wonder if it would still come up.
Just just a thought, just a thought.
Yep,
so
for sure.
I love that the water district is really promoting and encouraging and counseling and, pleading with people to use less water. I think the education part is so critical. So thank you for what you do.
Of course. Thank you, Mark.
Yeah, thank you. And hopefully we can make an impact with people this year, one way or another.
Yeah.
I mean, there's
We're always looking for ways to collaborate with our community, and so
there's so many different ways you can do it. One, start with a smart controller. Super easy, inexpensive. I mean, we're talking under $20 probably if you take advantage of the rebate program. Start mowing your lawn correctly, which is always critical too. So early in the spring, we say mow it close. In the middle of summer, when it's hot, mow it tall. It can be a little shaggy during the summertime, and you'd be surprised how much that helps. And then at the top of the show, I was talking about some products you can use to really decrease your water use. And we're talking a 30 to 50% decrease in water just by using a product like Hydratane or Back to Green. Now, what these are, they are soil penetrants, but they make your soil so it's much, much more absorbent. And so that when you do water, or when Mother Nature waters, it absorbs the water down into the soil instead of letting it evaporate off. So it pulls it down into the soil, and then it conditions your soil so it will hold that moisture a lot longer. So what I've found is early in the spring, if I apply either the Back to Green or the Hydratane on, I do not have to water my lawn until about mid-June. I mean, it makes that much of a difference. So I don't even have to, I can turn my sprinklers on, but I don't have to use them. So it's like ready to go when it does get hot. But my lawn can go 2 or 3 weeks between rainstorms and still stay green and look really good. It makes a huge difference. And then in the middle of the summer, I'll do another application about the first part of June. It lasts 90 days, and it will last until the first part of September. And I can literally set my watch by the 90 days, and I can tell when the grass starts to stress because it's like it's wearing off. But instead of watering 3 times a week, you can drop that to twice a week or even once a week. And 4 years ago, Jason, we were talking about this a little while ago, when we had the 3 years of drought in a row, 2021, we had a lot of communities that were really restrictive, and you could only water like once a week if you were lucky, and sometimes it was only like once every 10 days. And we had a lot of people coming in the store, and we really encouraged them to use the Hydratane, and it kept their lawns looking not perfect, but decent through the entire hot summer where they could only water it once every 10 days. It makes that much of a difference. It's a really, really cool product. And the Hydratane's an all-natural product too, so it's amazing. Yeah, it's really, really amazing. It comes in a liquid and it comes in a granule, so you can either apply the granule or you can apply the liquid, and for 90 days, it'll cut your water use because of absorption and retention. It'll cut it by 30 to 50%.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's quite impressive.
It's pretty cool stuff, and it's not terribly expensive. In fact, in the first month of water savings, it'll pay for itself.
Wow.
Yeah, first month, but it'll last for 3.
I don't remember the package directions, but you apply that right before watering or right before a rainstorm.
It needs to be watered
right?
in. Yeah. What is unusual about this product is if you apply it and it doesn't get watered in, it will pull the water out of your soil up to the surface. Yeah. So you want to make sure it gets watered in. So if you're applying the liquid, you need to water immediately afterwards. If you're doing the granule, it's more forgiving, and it will just wait until it gets watered in and then it starts to work. But amazing products that will help you save so much water this year when everybody's kind of really highly conscious of our water usage. So yeah, great way to conserve. So inexpensive, easy ways to cut your water back by at least 50%, at least 50%. And if everybody in the valley saves 50% on their water usage, it's how many acre feet is that? Did you bring your calculator? You're supposed to bring your calculator.
No, I need to look on our GIS website for
there are some tips on this. I at cashwaterut.gov, the website you mentioned for the district. I noticed you have some something like 3,000 gallons of water saved per year if you fix a dripping faucet.
Oh, yeah.
Just
it's
to kind of
it's
put
crazy
some of this
how
in
much.
perspective.
Yeah, it's crazy how much. So, okay, so next time I have you on the show, bring your like scientific calendar.
I will
and
have that.
not calendar, your calculator, and we'll figure out if like everybody in the valley saves 30% on their water, how much water that really is. I'm like curious now.
I'm too. I will get back to you on that, because that would be awesome to see it.
So not too bad. Jason, thanks for your help on the show today. Yep.
Always fun to be here.
Yep, it's great. Thanks for the calls and the questions, and been a great edition of the Garden Guide. Please look for us. Listen, next week we'll be back with another edition of the Garden Guide, 8 a.m. right here on KVNU, and we'll be answering your garden questions and helping you in your yard. And bare root sale continues at Anderson's, and weeds are going crazy. Don't forget to come get your weed-free zone, because it'll take care of all of your weeds. And then when you're done killing the weeds, let's put some of that new grass on that's going to be more drought tolerant to take the place of the weeds, so that you don't have more weeds come back.
Exactly.
How about that? Yeah, how about that? So
The station for news and talk. KVNU Logan, 610 AM and 102.1 FM.